No one saw it coming. Not in Washington. Not in Tehran. Not even in Tel Aviv. But in the shadows of an intensifying Middle East firestorm, a name re-emerged, bold, calculated, and quietly backed by some of the most powerful figures in Western intelligence. That name was IBRAHIM Traoré. Build up to context: Iran-Israel war. The world is on edge. Israel and Iran are engaged in what experts are calling the most dangerous direct escalation in decades. Missiles are flying. Proxy forces are activated. Oil prices are spiking. And global diplomacy? On life support. And what you're about to hear isn't being covered by the mainstream media, and it could change the way you see global power forever. If you care about truth, Africa's rise, and the future of world politics, make sure to subscribe right now and click the bell icon so you never miss a single update. Big stories like this? They don't stay hidden for long, but only the prepared will understand what's really coming. In the midst of this chaos, Western military alliances, including NATO and CENTCOM, are scrambling, looking for new leverage points, new theaters of influence, and new allies. Not in Europe, not in the Middle East, but in Africa. That's where Traoré steps in. Not with fanfare, not with press releases, but with precision. The twist: Traoré's move. At first, it seemed like a rumor. Western operatives spotted a confidential Burkinabe delegation landing in southern Europe. The meeting was classified. No names, no photographs. But behind closed doors, U.S. military advisors, French defense intermediaries, and even German intelligence observers were listening closely. Because Traoré, the same man who once expelled French forces from Burkina Faso, the same face of the anti-colonial wave, was now delivering something completely unexpected. A deal. A regional intelligence sharing agreement. Access to Sahelian surveillance airspace. Permission for a covert Western drone relay facility under the guise of agricultural development. But why now? The geopolitical strategy. Iran's presence in Africa has quietly grown in recent years, via Shiite clerics, political training centers, and arms deals with militant groups across the Sahel and Central Africa. Israel knows this. The US knows this. And Traoré? He sees the game. He's not choosing the West out of loyalty. He's choosing the upper hand. He sees Iran trying to destabilize West Africa through shadow alliances. He knows the ripple effect of a full-blown Israel-Iran war won't stop in Gaza or the Golan Heights. It will reach Ouagadougou, Niamey, Bamako, and beyond. So what does he do? He doesn't go public. He doesn't hold a press conference. He moves silently, offering satellite corridors, logistical access, and human intelligence networks in exchange for what Burkina Faso needs the most: drones, border surveillance technology, and counter-jihadist training. The unexpected ally. It's a partnership built not on friendship, but on necessity. Western analysts are now calling him the wild card of the Sahel. A man who outmaneuvered Russian mercenaries, outplayed French diplomacy, and is now positioning himself as a balancing power between East and West. But make no mistake, Traoré hasn't fully turned pro-West. He's far too smart for that. He's playing the Americans. He's playing the Europeans. And he's watching the Iranians. And while he's at it, he's shaping Africa's role in the new world order, one covert agreement at a time. U.S. military response. Sources within the Pentagon, speaking anonymously, have confirmed that CENTCOM has included Burkina Faso in a new intelligence tiering protocol, previously reserved for close partners like Jordan and Kenya. Because Traoré delivered what the U.S. couldn't get from Mali or Niger. Eyes and ears on Iran-backed networks crossing African borders. In exchange, the U.S. is reportedly shipping non-lethal defense packages, drones, encrypted comms gear, and mobile radar stations. Not officially, of course. The West can't afford the optics. But the chessboard has shifted. The global consequences. So here we are. Israel is watching. Iran is furious. Russia is confused. And Washington? They're quietly celebrating what insiders now call the Traoré Doctrine. An African leader who once kicked the West out, now helping them hold the line. But the question is, how long will it last? Will Traoré fully pivot to the west, or is this just another strategic maneuver in a much deeper game? Will Iran retaliate in the Sahel? Will Russian forces attempt to sabotage the U.S. Traoré backchannel? And what happens if Traoré goes public? What happens if the world learns that the so-called anti-colonial hero is now the West's secret weapon in a Middle Eastern war? While the world watches missiles fly between Tehran and Tel Aviv, a second war is unfolding quietly across deserts, jungle corridors, and the heavily guarded bunkers of West African command centers. This war has no official declaration, no flags, no soldiers in formation, but it's deadlier, it's hidden, and at the center of it is a man the CIA once labeled untouchable. IBRAHIM TRAORÉ. The Burkina's intelligence revolution. What the public doesn't know is this. In the weeks leading up to the Iranian drone strikes on Israel's military bases, a signal intelligence operation was quietly activated in Burkina Faso. But not by the US. Not by NATO. By Traoré's newly formed Cyber Command Unit, trained in part by former European tech mercenaries and advised, clandestinely, by Israeli cyber defense consultants. Yes, you heard right, Israel. Documents leaked to a French defense blog reveal a joint technical exchange between Burkina Faso and an unnamed foreign partner in Tel Aviv. Encrypted data streams. Facial recognition protocols. Heat signature tracking in Sahel border zones. All of it targeting Iran-backed cells operating in the region. You see, Iran's strategy isn't confined to the Persian Gulf. For over 5 years, Tehran has been funneling arms and influence into West Africa through a network of smuggled clerics, black market ports, and militant trainers. They're not wearing uniforms. They're not flying flags. But they're building networks. And Traoré knows it. He's seen what they did to Mali, what they're trying in Niger, and what they plan for Burkina Faso next. But now, he's fighting back. Not just for Burkina. Not just for the Sahel. But as a silent partner in the West's shadow walls. Behind closed doors, intelligence sources refer to a growing Western alignment called the Triad, a 3-point covert partnership between Washington, Tel Aviv, and Ouagadougou. Unacknowledged, unofficial, untraceable, but deadly effective. This triad is currently coordinating air surveillance sweeps from southern Burkina into northern Nigeria, secret listening posts along the border with Mali, and even a clandestine kill list, targeting the top Iranian-trained operatives believed to be embedded in West African insurgent groups. The tools? Western drones, Israeli spyware, and Burkinabe boots on the ground. This isn't just geopolitics anymore. This is a war fought in the shadows. And for the first time ever, Traoré is choosing the shadows of the West. But with every move comes a reaction. In Tehran, the regime is furious. According to intercepted chatter decoded by European SIGINT units, Iran's Quds force has placed strategic pressure targets on Burkina Faso. Translation? They're coming. Not with tanks. Not with missiles. But with chaos. Funding extremists in border towns. Triggering ethnic tensions. And launching a new disinformation campaign that accuses Traoré of selling Africa to the Zionists. Sound familiar? It's the same playbook they used in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq. And now, they're bringing it to the Sahel. Russia's confusion and frustration. Now here's where it gets even more complicated. Russia is watching. They thought Traoré was theirs. They sent Wagner operatives. They provided early logistics. They gave him diplomatic cover at the UN. But now, they're confused. They're angry. And in some quarters of Moscow's intelligence circles, they're even calling him the African betrayer. But because Traoré didn't just accept Western tools. He restricted Wagner's access to key military airstrips. He's even quietly arrested pro-Russian military commanders inside Burkina Faso under the guise of disciplinary restructuring. It's war by another name. And Russia is not going to let that slide. What the US isn't telling you. Inside the Pentagon, officials are now calling Burkina Faso the African keystone. They believe Traoré's cooperation could tip the balance of influence in the entire region. But they're not just watching, they're investing. Leaked defense briefings suggest a covert $78 million fund has been approved by a U.S. Congressional Oversight Committee, channeled through third-party NGOs and shell foundations. The objective? Keep Traoré alive, strengthen his counterintel, and prevent Russian or Iranian-backed coups. Because make no mistake, there are already plots. Inside Burkina's military, in the embassies of Ouagadougou, and in the shadows of Iran's foreign strategy rooms. What we are witnessing now is not just Traoré's pivot. It is the beginning of a proxy war across West Africa, a new Cold War where Africa is no longer the prize, but the battlefield. And Traoré? He's not the pawn. He's not the puppet. He's the unpredictable kingmaker. Every move he makes now changes the global board. Will he sign the final trilateral accord with the US and Israel? Will Iran retaliate with full-scale insurgency sabotage? Will Russia attempt an assassination or a military-backed regime change? And most dangerously, what happens when the African public finds out? When they realize the man who once kicked out Western forces is now secretly working with them against their traditional enemies? The shockwave will be massive. The media backlash? Unstoppable. But Traoré doesn't flinch. He knows the game. He's already 5 moves ahead.